Welcome to the Nerd Party.
You have entered once again into the House of Fuqua. Here, the latest saga exploring the works of a director, this one being Antoine Fuqua. Welcome as we continue this exploration with The Equalizer, a reteaming of Denzel Washington with Antoine Fuqua, a teaming we're familiar with from our discussion about Training Day last week. And who is the we here? Well, gosh, I am John, the equalizer of this podcast, and I'm joined by the two dirty cops, Tristan Riddell and Darren Moser, who I insist must pay you back with a quality piece of entertainment discussing this film to make up for burning your kitchen. So, gentlemen, here we are at the action powerhouse film, The Equalizer. It was released in 2014, and it was a rebirth in many ways, because it was based loosely on a TV show of the same name from the 1980s that yours truly might have grown up watching. And I can say that, I did not go see this in the theater because I was one of those people that was like, how can you remake The Equalizer? That's a sacred TV show. I was going through one of those phases, as so many of us do. But gentlemen, what was your first encounter? I will kick off with you, Darren. Your first encounter with The Equalizer here on Houselights.
You're not going to like it because it's going to feel very modern and terrible. Because if you asked me if I had seen this movie, the answer would be no. And also, yes, this is one I'm pretty sure I did not ever sit down and watch, but I came across like a series of reels online that were like best little bits of The Equalizer. So I'd seen lots of little bits, not really knowing what Denzel movie this was from, because obviously I recognized him. So that's the level of engagement I had when I sat down to watch it this weekend, and it all clicked. I'm like, oh, this is the movie that, the not Home Depot attack is happening at, and all of that. So I won't say it spoiled it, because I hadn't remembered those scenes enough to have it all flood back. But as they each came up, it was like, okay, there's this one. But I had the whole plot now. Like, there's nothing of the diner in the best of clips.
Strangely.
You don't know what's happening there. Although when he turns off the light as the van goes by is a great shot and moment. So all that to say, this was really my first time on seeing the story. And yeah, I want to say overall, this movie is does a great job of showing and not telling, especially when it doesn't even show. Like the moment where he takes the hammer and like the next shot is him coming back and putting it away as he wipes it off. You don't even know what happened to that guy specifically, but you know what happened to that guy. Yeah, you do. So
you're giving context clues, as they might say.
Are. Yes. And honestly, we don't need to see the exact of that. Anything we could think of is like, we're just like, oh, he's dead. Like he had it coming, and it was very painful. And he got the ring back. That is all that matters. So
respecting personal property is important. You need to keep in mind that when a man cares about something, he's going to care about it deeply. So Tristan, your first encounter with The Equalizer. I need to know, did your father have old videotapes of Edward Woodward as The Equalizer, and he showed them to you to prep for this film?
It was interesting because when we started talking about doing Fuqua, the House of Fuqua, and we started talking about which movies we were going to tackle, and we decided to do the order that we're doing. And you brought up that The Equalizer was a TV show, and I said to you, what? When? I had literally never heard about it ever. Not a passing reference, not an ad, not something at Blockbuster, or not an old TV guide. Nothing. So I had no idea that this existed. But actually, in doing research for this podcast, I did see that there are a lot of homages to the TV show.
Oh, yes.
Within the movie.
Oh, yes.
So I think
yes,
that's
there
pretty cool.
are. It is. It's very, see, what I think is very cool about it is that Fuqua takes the care to bake those homages in without calling specific attention to them. There's no moment as somebody who grew up watching the show. And I mean, listen, I'm not like 400 years old. I was a kid when the show was on, but there are little things baked in that every so often somebody would point out and be like, oh yeah, that's the car from the show. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like that sort of thing. As opposed to like a hit you over the head with a hammer and wipe it off sort of homage reference that you might get. So this movie comes out to, I would say casting Denzel is a surprising move. This isn't necessarily a role that before he was in it, I would have expected Denzel Washington to inhabit. This isn't the type of role that it really jumps out in the Denzel Washington body of work necessarily, of the,
Are you
the
sure?
avenging
Had,
angel.
had you not seen Man on Fire?
I had not seen Man on Fire by this point, and unfortunately, many people had not seen Man on Fire by this point. So, give and take there on that one. Give me a break. You know for a fact I hadn't seen Man on Fire by this point.
No, I forgot until you mentioned it. I did.
Yeah,
I forgot that until you mentioned it because I
but-
just want to say that like watching this, I'm like,
Yes.
do you know who else was a big fan of Man on Fire? Antoine Fuqua.
Yes. And but that's the thing is overall, you don't really see Denzel Washington as a John Wick style avenger of wrongs. But Darren, you go in, Denzel's not a young man when this comes out, but he's not like ready for retirement or anything, but he's not a young man. Did you have any trouble believing Denzel when he was in those moments being the action star that he needed to be? Did you ever have a moment where you said, I don't really buy this?
No, I really was fully on board with this character. And maybe it was the watch, the fact that he's kind of almost setting up his, my personal best in this situation is 16 seconds, or AKA, I have about 16 seconds of old man energy to take out these punks, and I better, optimize my attack. So again, we don't see flashbacks of his glory days. We don't see a lot of the pieces. There's a lot of subtlety of, again, not telling, but you can tell that this is a dangerous man. And they really portrayed it, I think, very convincingly that, yeah, I totally buy every moment. He's very smart. He's very surgical. It's not a guns blazing, he actually rarely kills with a gun. He kills with a nail gun more than he kills with a gun. Oh, okay.
Like,
I wasn't paying
movie,
close enough attention.
He never kills anybody with a gun except for
the first guy.
Well, like when he's holding he's actually making the other guy fire the gun.
Oh, I see. He's co-opting someone else's gun.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Also, I just want to say,
technically he pulled the trigger under my finger, so technically I didn't shoot him.
We can't skip over the genius that Darren just dropped, because I need to use 16 seconds of old man energy somewhere, somehow. I don't know if that's going to be the title of my autobiography. I don't know if I'm going to have to wait that long, but it's going to be, I'm going to use that somehow. I'm stealing that, Darren.
No, that was a great, and then he like overshot it. He's like, oh, I was like 19 seconds slower. Okay, I get work to improve, Denzel, work to improve, but no. So I think, yeah, they nailed that part of the character. I felt like this was a guy who's seen some stuff and done some stuff. So I was fully on board with that past coming out. And we've seen that. It's a trope. We've seen that so many times. It's Rocky. It's, so many other things where they have a side to them that is shaped by war and conflict, and they just want peace. And they bring that out into the forefront. I'm not saying this is a copy of Rocky or something like that, but, the main character that has a past.
Did you mean Rambo?
I think you mean Rambo.
You're right. I do mean I'm visualizing Rambo in my mind.
So, both John and I were like, what?
Rambo in a boxing
Rocky?
ring is a movie I might want to see. I'm just saying.
They're played by the same actor. Okay, so I
Well,
mixed
and he
those,
also
and they
played.
both begin with R.
He also played Cobretti, but you're not throwing Cobra around
No,
as a reference there.
no. I'm going to blank that movie out. But yes, so Rambo. That's what I totally said, guys. Yeah, that person with a past. So I was digging it.
So, Tristan, something you drew attention to was Darren, the 16 seconds of old man energy, but it's really the subtlety of it. There seems to be an economy that's built into the action scenes. It would have been very easy for somebody to have a stunt double come in and have super high energy action scenes in those fights. Do you think that it's effective to have somebody with an economy of motion? Did it make it stand out as an action film in any way for you in the way that Denzel inhabited it physically?
Well, when this movie came out, we were at the peak of shaky cam. And I feel like this was a nice respite from that, where if you looked at the cinematography, and I have a point, I'm coming back to your question. But if you look at the cinematography of it, it's very classical in the way that it's shot. You see everything. There's no obfuscation. It's not there's no whip pans. There's no extreme. I mean, I was about to say extreme close-ups, but there's a lot of extreme close-ups. But there's nothing that's hiding the action. There's no green grass effect in this, and I really appreciated that. And one of the things that you have to do when you shoot it that way is you have to make your action legible as well, because you can't just have frantic wailing when you can see everything's on screen. And so when you show that Denzel, because like right off the bat, they show that Denzel is no spring chicken anymore. Like you see him with gray hair at the very top of the movie, and he's shaving it off. And it's to remind the audience that like Denzel is not ageless, even though we kind of picture him as ageless. He's not. He's getting older, and I love that he said that he was a buck 90, and I literally said out loud, I was like, BS, and I love that they called it out at the end. But regardless, I'm like, I think the action style was very refreshing for this type of movie, because when you have something that like John Wick that came out at the same time, like it's unrealistic gunfighting, and that's not a criticism. It's just is what it is. And this one went in a different direction, where it's not Jason Bourne or Batman or anything like that. Like this is a guy who is trained to take out people as quickly and efficiently as possible. There's no flair to it. He just does it. Mm-hmm. And I think that mixed with the type of cinematography really benefited this picture.
Yeah, and for the director of photography, it's Mario Fiore. I'm always going to mess up his last name. But he had worked with Fuqua on Training Day. Between Training Day and now, he had worked with Michael Bay on The Island. He had worked with Fuqua again on Tears of the Sun. He had worked, of course, famously wins an Oscar for his work on Avatar with James Cameron, and comes back around to Fuqua eventually, and does 3 in a row with Fuqua, starting with this.
And he also did Smokin' Aces. And anybody who's seen that film knows that this cinematographer, he like Fiore knows how to do whip pans. He knows how to do fast takes and shaky cam, because Smokin' Aces is basically green grass on crack.
Right. But that's sort of what I'm building to. I think it exhibits a real. Basically, it underlines the fact that it's a real choice of the director and the DP to say, this is the style of this movie, and we are going to stick to it, because it would have been so easy to fall back on, oh, I know how to shoot this. They obviously had conferences where they said, how are we going to break this down? Now, in terms of breaking things down, Darren, this movie is not an hour and a half. It takes its time getting where it's going. And my question to you, I usually toss this to Tristan first, but I'll toss it to you. Did you have any issue with the editing, with the pace of the film? Do you feel that it took the right amount of time to get where it was going, or do you think that it took too long to get to where it was going?
First, I just want to cap off what we said about Denzel's age. I just looked it up, and at the time that this movie came out, he was 60. That is incredible. But yeah, as far as...
I'm not that far off from it.
No, I'm just saying. Come on now. He did a great job.
It feels personal,
Denzel. But yeah, I'm probably not the best one to answer this because because of my schedule, ended up watching this in 2 chunks anyway. I didn't have the full time to sit down, so I had a break in the middle. But yeah, nothing jumped out. It is a bit of a slow burn before we get to, butt kick and Denzel. Like a while goes into this, and even the setup for the bad guy. I mean, I think if I had to describe it in one word, it is slow burn. It is definitely that.
It is. It's 132 minutes. And I think
Tristan felt every single one of them.
Well, I mean, the first action sequence is about 30 minutes in. I think it ends the first action sequence ends around 32 or 33 minutes into the film. And so Tristan, let's knock it over to you. You love to talk about editing. In fact, I think it's all you love to talk about. I think that's the only reason you podcast on this show. But did you felt every second of this? Did you sit there watching this like what were you going in your head saying, okay, cut this, chop that, or was it more in retrospect?
It was like, as I was watching it, I was just like, oh, good Lord, no, get rid of this scene, get rid of this take, cut this down. I was fine with the slow burn at the beginning. I really was. Like when you mentioned that the first action scene wasn't until half an hour in, I was like, okay, all right, cool, all right. I was just kind of like trying to vibe with it, just like, all right, it's a slow burn. It's cool. We're doing a lot of character work. We're building the world. We're building him. I was fine with it. But then towards the end of the second act, I was just crawling out of my skin. I was like, good Lord, I have so much left of this movie. And then when I finished it, like I yelled at my because my wife didn't watch it with me. She was off doing something else and the kids weren't home, so I could actually watch it without headphones. But like at the end of this movie, I was like, good Lord, this movie had no business being as long as it was. No business. Like you could, I say this without exaggeration, you could trim this down by half an hour easy.
I don't know that I would agree about half an hour.
I truly believe that. Like you could get this at 145, 150, and I truly believe that would be a primo.
I think you
runtime
could, but whether or not you should, because an aspect of this is the circling sharks of the two antagonists and protagonists as they draw closer to their final battle, and if you mess with that timing too much, it shifts it a bit.
I get what you're saying, Tristan. I don't agree with it. Is the best way I can put it, specifically because of the fact that I know that if I were to look at this, say the way Soderbergh looked at Her, I'd be like, I can get this done in 90 minutes, okay? And we're going to cut the kitchen burning scene. We're going to cut the corrupt cops with one of the Wahlbergs. We're just going to go down. We're just going to blah, blah, blah. But what I admire and respect about the movie is actually the fact that it sets up specifically why and how he expresses how he cares so much about certain people. I'm
like all for that. I'm all for that. I really am. So keep the opening. Keep the first 30 minutes exactly the same.
I'm not talking about just the opening. I'm talking about the guy who's going up for security guard. That it shows him not just expressing his love for somebody by kicking somebody's butt. He shows up and he says, oh, I'm going to help clean up the kitchen. You see this guy has this circle of people and he loves and does everything for them, not just, vigilante justice sort of thing.
Well, you're assuming that I would cut that.
I am actually. I am assuming because I don't. Well, then give me an example of what you would cut, because I wouldn't cut anything about the crazy mob guy going through and intimidating people and beating up Irishmen. And I wouldn't, any of that stuff would be cut. Are you talking about you would simply cut in the back part of the movie?
I would completely remove the robber at not Home Depot. Completely remove that storyline. Excise it completely. There's no business for it being there. In fact, I think it actually was a detriment to the movie, not just because of its length. I actually had a problem with that scene because when he's, when he confronts the mob, he's confronting the mob because a person that he cares about is in trouble and he wants to release her from the servitude. She's an underage prostitute who's basically in sex trafficking. and
she can't get out on her own.
And she can't get out. So she is in sex trafficking. And so he's trying to get her out. Like that, I get that. And then the next scene was like dirty cops taking advantage of hardworking people, and him as a former law enforcement, person, that means something to him. Keep it, love it. But then when basically a tweaker comes and robs a woman at gunpoint and steals her ring, I feel like it's a step too far to when he's a vigilante already, but like it was a step too far because the danger was over. That woman was no longer in danger. She lost a ring. I'm sorry, crap happens. But then we're supposed to believe that because this guy was brutally murdered with a sledgehammer because he robbed a Home Depot. Like that, it took up time. It was confusing about the character because like at first, like my first reaction to it was, oh damn, is this like Taxi Driver? Like is he like the end of Taxi Driver where you're just like, oh, did he get a taste for this? Is he just gonna look for more blood? Like, is it no longer about the victim anymore? Is it just about the getting the quote unquote justice? Like, so that scene was really confusing to me, and I think it was a detriment towards his character. And then like as we move on from that, like I wouldn't really maybe I would get rid of Kosuka's murder of that poor girl. That went on way too long. I would excise it completely. I don't think it was necessary. We already know that he's a bad guy. He's an evil guy. But I would condense it a great deal if someone was like forcing me to keep it. And then from there on out, I would just trim scenes down. I would just condense. And I really think that you could excise 30, 20 minutes minimum.
I don't know that I would cut the not Home Depot thing, just because I do think that there is a moment when he takes his first vengeance on the room full of guys, the 28 seconds of killing spree, where he's sitting down and he's talking the guy through, in about 30 seconds, you're going to die. And was this worth $9,800? And he has a moment where he puts his head down. I forget exactly what he says, but he's like, he basically says something along the lines of like, I'm sorry. Like, you can see him. I think you're right. He basically, once he's turned on, that's just who he is going forward. And I think that does show that the whole reason he doesn't want to get involved in it is because he knows what, like when he goes to the door and he opens the door and he closes it and he opens and he closes it, it's because he's sitting there. He's like, he can't operate, flipping between states. It's once he's on, he's on. And I think that the movie maybe doesn't do a clear enough job of saying, well, this is where he goes too far. It just shows the guy has just entered that mode, and that's just who he's going to be until the end. And like basically every time it gets tripped, it's just going to happen. But maybe to your point, maybe that's where it lacks some clarity in terms of the where the character goes.
Well, and I'll say with, Sledgehammer guy or whatever we're going to call him, it did feel a little contrived that in the background there was like a line thrown in there or actually, no, it's not even in the background. It's Denzel says it, where he's like, oh yeah, the cops talked about this guy and he shot someone else and he's robbed other people. And it's like, oh, I see what you're doing, story. You're justifying it, because if you had not had that line, it's straight up murder. Like you're trying to ease it of like, oh look, he's killed, he might kill again. Now we have a reason for our vigilante to step into action. I mean, they even shoot that scene of him gearing up for an attack, and the only reason he aborts is because a mom and daughter walk in, like, which raises whole other things. Like imagine him straight up killing that guy right there at the register. Like that would have been a very different scene.
It would have been a very different scene. I mean, the thing is, like I said, Tristan, it's not that it's not that I don't understand what you're saying. It's that I just don't agree with it, because
that's cool, man. That's why we have this podcast.
Oh no. I'm building to a point where I betray this trust that we've built. See, the thing is, now we're spoiling everything. That's no fun. No, it's for the sake of a more direct sort of way, I think, is, have you ever seen the original Death Wish with Charles Bronson? Have either one of you seen that?
Ages ago.
Now, it's not a good movie. I want to underline that. And there's actually one point wherein I consider him to be a reprehensible father. And I'm not going to even point people to the movie or reference the scene. But if you've seen it, I can tell you that you undoubtedly got the creepies during a certain moment where you're like, oh, dude, what are you doing talking to her like that? But this is more along the lines of a death wish. And I think that's the sort of thing where the entire thing operates as this guy's gone off the deep end. And so once he goes over, the whole thing is, at what point, what will finally make him stop doing the thing that he's doing? Or will he learn to pull back? Either way. So not high marks for the editing, but did it destroy the suspense, or not suspense, but did it destroy the vibe of the movie enough to work against the tension? And this is to you, Tristan, that Fuqua is trying to build in those scenes. Like, was it something where by the end you just didn't get into the action because it had burned up all of its goodwill?
Yeah, a little bit. Unfortunately, I feel like there was, it kind of took me out of it, like, because I was so frustrated as I was watching the latter half, that I was drawn into how over stylized some of the action scenes were. Like when he destroys the ship and we have basically a nuclear bomb go off behind him.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing is, like is the Saturday Night Live people singing like, "Cool guys don't look at explosions."
Yeah.
And it's such a massive explosion, and he's just he's sauntering through it in slow motion.
On the edge of the shockwave. Like,
he's
the edge.
He would go deaf. He'd be blown to smithereens. Like, this is not something that you walk away from. And so, like, it was shot in slow motion. And then also, like, when we get towards the end and he shoots Koskas with a nail gun, and then like the sprinklers go off and it's in super slow motion for a very long time. And we're like, yes, that's a really cool epic shot of him in the water. I get it. But I think it was Fuqua not knowing when to cut back. Is like, each one of those things is cool on its own, but every single time it lasted too long. And it just made me think, man, I've seen this before and I've seen it done better.
Well, do you feel that the music by Harry Gregson Williams help at all? Did that?
It made me think about Man on Fire even more. Where
Fair enough.
Fuqua is like, you know what? I want Denzel. I want a revenge story, and get me Harry Gregson freaking Williams.
Okay. Darren, for the music, did the music work for you? Did it contribute to the tension building, the action scenes, anything like that? Or was it just something you didn't really notice at all?
Yeah, no, I'm seeing a lot of his list as a lot of co-working with very big action movies, especially in the 90s and 2000s. So yeah, it drew me in because just like any sort of action movie, knowing when to play the music and when to have it be like nat sound, like they're sneaking up the stairs, or you hear the creaks of doors or things like that, that is also a major component of music. It's not every beat has to have a thing happening. Like, you don't need it everywhere. So I think the balance they struck in the Equalizer was really good. I'm not going to talk about the end credits or the end music, because that felt a little, I don't know what was happening there. It was like, you know what? I expected, like, Smash Mouth to come out or something, to play it off. It was very music video-y in the very last 10 seconds. I don't know why.
That is interesting, because I know that in the trailer, they debuted a song by Eminem with Sia. I think the trailer was the debut of a new song. And I forget the name of it. I think it was like something Before Fear or something like that. I think that Fuqua did make an odd choice at the end there. I will absolutely concede that. but I think maybe you put your finger on it that his music video roots just got the better of him.
Guts over fear.
Guts over fear. That's what it is.
That's what they
Guts over fear.
Man, that name.
Yeah, So, what we haven't talked about at this point is the supporting cast. So, of course, Chloe Grace Moretz is there as the first recipient of Robert's support on his revenge killing spree. But Tristan, do you feel that the supporting cast is seen in this film, or do you feel that it's mainly just Denzel Washington and people floating in to deliver lines to spur him forward?
No. I think this is a solid supporting cast. Like, I freaking love Martin Koskis. I absolutely love him. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And also, it was fun to see David Harbour in this. I think it's always a good time when David Harbour pops up. I'm not the biggest fan of Chloe Grace Moretz. I don't know what it is. I think a little bit. I know that she's a good actress and she's been acting for such a long time. But it's a little of irrational dislike. I think maybe it's her voice. I don't dig on that vocal fry that she puts on.
Is she your Meryl Streep?
She might be. Like,
okay,
I honestly have, like, whenever I see her face, I'm like, ugh, why? Like,
which is not, which, so the audience understands, is no comment on how she looks.
No, not at all.
He's saying
she's
that
she's a very pretty woman.
When he sees her in a role, it's like I react. This is why I made the reference when I react to Meryl Streep on a movie poster. For some unknown reason, my first reaction is, ugh, okay. And even though I know fully well, she's a great actress and everybody loves her and everything, for some reason, buried deep in my
it's the same exact thing. It's something really, really weird. It's unconscious. She's very talented. She was freaking hilarious in 30 Rock. She just got married, so congratulations to her.
But what a wonderful journey she's just taken.
Yeah. So like, honestly, it's all me. It's all me. And I don't know what it is. But one thing that I thought was a little weird, Bill Pullman was there.
Yeah. That was a surprise.
It was a little distracting.
For like 5 lines. Like, it could have been anybody.
It should have been anybody. I think that's the thing.
No. There are no small roles, only small actors, gentlemen. And Mr. Pullman showed up and he delivered those 5 lines with more skill than many other actors would.
Well, now, I freaking love Bill Pullman. He's an amazing actor, but that's why it was so weird, because he was she wasn't a politician, but she was like I guess you could call her one. Like, she was the head of the agency, or she worked at the agency.
Yeah, she was a former
like a director,
intelligence community bureaucrat. Yes.
Yeah. So there you go, bureaucrat. Like, okay, so he was the bureaucrat's husband.
Right.
That's all he needed to be. You don't get Bill Pullman for that.
Unnamed bureaucrat's husband number 2. Like, that's what to the level of it.
Yes.
Also, that's another scene that I would cut. I would completely excise that scene.
Yeah, that scene, it got away from me because it was like, I got confused because there was too few and too many people at the same time in that scene. Because she gets there and they're talking about his wife, and then this lady shows up and I'm like, is that his wife? That she didn't know that he was dead, and this is how he finds out? Like, I got very confused. Like, obviously that was not the case, but a lot is happening. It was very kind of Jason Bourne-y. I was like, reaching back into the days of the agency. I don't have contacts anymore, and I just, it was messy. It didn't really flow.
I was really excited up until that moment, because I was like, cool, this movie dares to not answer the question of what does his resume look like. And because there's always that Steven Seagal moment where some general or some agency man or some bad guy's like, no, you don't understand. Okay, this guy was a Green Beret and a Navy SEAL at the same time. Like, you drop him off in Mexico with nothing but a stick of gum. He's gonna wind up on your doorstep with a couple of pesos in his hand. I was really proud of the movie for not doing that. But then we have this scene, which really felt out of place because not only did he expose himself that he's really alive, but he telegraphed what he was going to do, how he was going to do it. And she's supposed to fly to DC and back via helicopter or something and get the information. And so what's going to happen when all these people wind up dead and they're going to go, Mrs. Plummer, you grabbed a lot of files on this Pushkin guy.
Oh, okay. No. See.
Oh, wait.
You got to listen, as the DC Metro native, that's exactly things, and nobody knows where any files are, Tristan. I hate to pull the wool off of everybody's eyes here, but trust me, it's exactly very believable that somebody's going to walk into the hallway somewhere, grab a big stack of files, walk out, and nobody's going to know for 30 years that anything happened.
I think that was in the news a couple of years ago, and so no, I understand that part.
No problem at all.
It's just okay. It was that makes it okay. It's even worse because that's how confused I was in this scene. I totally thought, okay, so he drives up and it's Bill Pullman and Bill Pullman's wife, Melissa Lau, is Susan Pullman, or sorry, Susan Plummer, and then she leaves. I totally thought she called somebody and then another lady showed up. I thought it was two separate characters. It was that weirdly joined. And then I'm also thinking, is Maney one of them his ex-wife? I don't know.
I would offer possibly that watching the movie in pieces might have contributed.
That was not the piece I missed. Okay.
I'm just saying.
In the middle of the second act. So yeah.
I felt like it was clumsy and tropey. It felt like it was something you'd see in a 90s film, not something from 2015.
It's all there so she can deliver the line, he's asking for permission.
Right.
Like it's like, oh, we got to have this line. Oh, how do we get there? Well, 8 pages of writing later, I think we cracked it. It's like, okay, but let's start again. There's got to be a simpler way to get to that line. That's what it feels like.
Again, don't have a problem with it. I actually,
So what you're saying is you hear what we're saying, but we don't agree with us.
What I hear right now is a surprising level of disrespect. So we'll go ahead into the next question of everything for the podcast. No, I just didn't find it as clunky. I don't know if there is something about the pacing or anything else that just for some reason felt right to me. Like that obviously didn't click for the both of you, because when I sat down, to rewatch this, it's far from my first time watching it. I always find myself just sort of like getting in, and there's this sort of vibe to the film, and it sort of puts me in this really. I feel like it has a really good flow. Which is why I'm saying, like, I can understand where somebody could look at it and say 132 minutes. You could cut this down to like 120 or 125. I'm like, okay, I'm hearing that argument. Okay. But it's just like how sometimes you can listen to the right album and maybe other people don't love the album, but all of a sudden that album's over and you're like, oh, wow. Okay. I just got sucked in. This is one of those types of movies for me where because it takes its time and it doesn't, I don't think that it ever trips a moment where it stayed so long on something that I started to feel it too much. A lot of times it'll approach that and then it's moved on. And I'm like, oh, okay. I think also some of the segmentation of it feels like a subtle homage to the series. Like it feels like a series, like television episodes put together. Like this is a series of things that build and have like a whole season in, 2+ hours sort of thing.
This is Sweeps Week. We have
basically
3 episodes that all connect together.
Right. Yeah. An Equalizer event starting Sunday, that sort of thing.
Speaking of which, okay, automatic full star taken off of the rating because Denzel not once said, "You've been equalized." Okay,
or at the very end when he's like, "Who are you?" He didn't say, "I'm the Equalizer," which there's no reason he would say that at all. which is why he didn't say it. But
it was
it wasn't
expected.
There. It was implied.
So, all right, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. A star subtracted for subverting expectations. It's happened before.
He pulls out a pair of balancing scales.
Yes.
And it's like, I am the equalizer.
Now, as we're wrapping up, though, I do want to say, like, this is a director-focused podcast, and Fuqua, definitely, he's comfortable here. I feel that he and the cinematographer are working well together. We'll have disagreements about whether he and the editor are working well together. He and Williams are working well together in terms of the score. So this is somebody who's got a flow, who's got things being put together. There were other directors. This was in development hell for a little bit. And there were other directors that were mentioned as we went along. And I just want to throw them out there and just ask, would you have wanted to see an Equalizer directed by this director? One of the names out there that was first slated to direct was, and I'm going to butcher his last name, and we do have a Scottish member or two of the Nerd Party. So whatever, guys. Paul McGuigan, I don't know, McGuigan, whatever. Scottish director known for Lucky Number 11, Gangster Number 1, and Push. Darren, you're not at all familiar with those movies, so you have no idea whether that would have worked, do you?
I have no idea.
That's okay. Neither do I. Tristan, same from you, or have you seen some of his work?
McGuigan. That's all I can say.
Okay. That's all we can say. So that's probably why they didn't move forward with this director who people don't really know. But then a name comes up when Russell Crowe was trying to bring the Equalizer to screen, where he was going to play Robert McCall. And it's Paul Haggis, known for $1 Million Baby and Crash. Can you see Paul Haggis directing the Equalizer and delivering 2+ hours of righteous justice to the world? Darren?
More so. We're trending in the right direction.
Tristan, can you see a Paul Haggis?
No, but I think Russell Crowe would have crushed it.
Russell Crowe would have been great. And I think that if Russell Crowe had made this film, it would have been much more of a callback to the 1980s show. It would have felt much more like, oh, we're just doing like a big screen version of the TV show that you loved watching so many years ago. Like, that's what it would feel to me. He'd have the right type of accent for the lead character. He'd be the right type of age for the character, those sorts of things.
Well, one thing with having Denzel in this movie, because Denzel is a perfectionist and he is heavily involved, like when he's the leading man, he's heavily involved in the process, in pre-production, in writing and tweaking and everything like that. And so it was his idea to make McCall have OCD. And it was a legitimate portrayal of OCD. Like, there was none of this. It was none of this hokey BS that we see all over TV and movies and everything like that. Like, it was like, no, this is what OCD can look like in certain cases. And that's one of the most defining characteristics of this character in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I think Denzel did such a great job of bringing his Denzel-ness to the movie, but doing something a little different on top of that. And also, I just want to mention, and in terms of like Fuqua's direction, to keep all the costuming normal was a really refreshing take, and really, like, I keep using that word in terms of Fuqua's direction in this movie. Like, it's he does a lot of refreshing things, and that was one of them, was keeping Denzel in a regular shirt, tucked in, belted, and jeans and boots. You know, like, that's what he looks like. He's the normal guy. He's living a normal life, total normal backstory. You know, like you said, college educated, works 40 hours a week at not Home Depot. Like, it was really cool to see.
Now, one director who was thrown out there very close to production time in 2012 entered the talks, was, and I always butcher this guy's name, but known for Drive and The Neon Demon, among others, Nicholas Winding Refn, R-E-F-N. I always mess up his last name. I love Drive, just for the record. Drive is a freaking fantastic film. And Neon Demon is a work of art that I thought highly of, but will never watch again for the rest of my life for various reasons. That's a very different movie in and of itself. Darren, have you seen Drive with Ryan Gosling?
Yes.
You can see that director giving us another Equalizer similar to this.
I mean, it's kind of the antithesis of Drive because I don't think Denzel has a car in this movie. He takes like public transportation everywhere. So
but in
yes.
terms of the vibe of the main character.
Yeah, they get in an elevator and it's all going to go bad. And no, it's definitely the same vibe.
Tristan, same question to you. Can you see
I can't
doing this? You can't?
No, I think it's, I mean, one of my criticisms of Fuqua was over stylizing some of the action scenes. And
okay, I see where you're going with this.
I think that's all you really need to say with Refn in the conversation. That's all you would get.
That is very, very true. Yes, and I love how on the Wikipedia page it says the deal with Sony fell through for unknown reasons. And I'm just willing to bet there was some request for the film, or like he said, this is how I would approach it. And the execs were like, no. And then they went and they got Fuqua.
All right. So Denzel, all right, he blows off this dude's head with a shotgun. We see it in slow motion. All right. But the thing is, the head grows back because he's a vampire. Boom. End of movie.
Yes. Or something like, and then he takes all of the pieces and he puts them together like a puzzle afterward. Something like
Twist. He was Blade all along.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Darren just took it into could be a good movie territory.
That's true.
Only if that happens in the last 10 seconds.
With a great song put on top of it.
Catches the sunglasses. They get tossed over. He catches them, puts them on.
Some of these mobsters keep trying to ice skate uphill.
So here we are. We've gone through the film. We've discussed this work from Antoine Fuqua. And so we come to the point of rating this film. And so I am going to throw it to Tristan first, because I feel like if we start with Tristan, Darren, we got nowhere to go but up. And so let's see if I'm right. Tristan, where are you landing on the 5-star scale of stars? We always try to do something cute. How many nail guns are you going to give the Equalizer?
Okay, so I'm not going to repeat myself because you guys have heard my points, my thought process. You hear me, but you don't agree with me.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I will do is I will talk about the end. So this guy is supposed to be in hiding, and no one's supposed to know who he is or what he can do. And then half of the Home Depot staff sees him kick mobster ass, and he kills a lot of people.
Yes.
A lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And he single-handedly takes out the Russian mob on the East Coast and travels to Moscow to finish the job.
Sure does.
And then he comes home, buys groceries, and goes to his favorite diner like nothing happened.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Questions will be asked. Your coworkers will go, dude, what the hell was that? More importantly, the police will have questions for him. You can't just go back to your life and pretend all of that didn't happen. He broke a lot of laws. And people know who he is and where he is now.
Equal now.
Like, okay, so like I was already having a frustrating watch, and then that happened, and I'm like, what? Because, okay, we're not in, I'm going to reference John Wick again. In John Wick, it's this weird alternate universe where there's this secret society where assassins pay for body pickup in coins. Okay, that's otherworldly nonsense. It's supposed to be fictional and fun and different, unique and weird. Oh, we get it. It's a hyper reality. This movie is not presented as hyper reality. You can't just murder the mob and travel to Moscow, kill the head of the snake, or chop off the head of the snake and come back and buy groceries. This is not Grand Theft Auto, where if the police don't capture you after 5 minutes, they give up searching for you. This is 2.5 stars, generously.
I hear you. I'm going to disagree. Because I think that by its very nature of existence, it's hyper reality. I mean, you can take a look at the way they very carefully craft the action scenes. They have the stories, everything like that. There is absolutely nothing realistic about this. It is every bit as hyper reality as John Wick. Oh, no.
Not even
no,
close.
Yes, no, I'm
Not
absolutely
even
right about this.
Close. That is such a cop-out.
No, it is not a cop-out, because the minute you see him take them apart in 28 seconds and the way he does it, I'm like, okay, I get it. This is the type of movie that we're in. This is same type of universe building as John Wick. This is same type of parallel reality, strictly on the grounds that opening fight doesn't even come close to mirroring how reality functions.
Yeah, it was weird that they added in the scene where he threw down some gold pirate coins in order to pay his tab at the Russian bar, and then he drives away in a Jaguar. That souped up Jaguar with all that hyper music, and then all of a sudden Ana de Armas comes out and just starts pirouetting, and then there's a person with knives on her feet. Yeah, this is totally on the same level as that.
Well, I haven't seen Ballerina, and I tapped out after John Wick 3, so maybe there's something I'm missing. Anyway, I think this is solid entertainment from beginning to finish. I'm not looking for anything beyond what it is, which is not my way of doing one of those catty internet comments toward you, Tristan, at all. It declared itself to me, and I declared my love for it after that first fight. So this is a solid 4 for me. This is really great entertainment from beginning to finish. I really enjoy this. Yes, I agree it could be trimmed down. Yes, I agree there are certain scenes where it's okay, this scene could be about 3/4 this length. But you know what? I'm willing to go with it because, like I said, it slides into a groove, and I'm grooving with it. Darren, Tristan gives it 2.5. I give it 4. I don't think I'm getting more than a 4 out of you, but are we backsliding back toward Tristan, or are we equalizing?
Oh, geez.
The ratings
there it
here.
Is.
Yeah.
No, this was a really fun movie. I really enjoyed watching it. It did really well at the box office. It made almost 200 million on a 55-70 million budget. So that means there's going to be sequels, gentlemen.
Oh, yes.
and yeah, from the opening fight, when he is kind of looking around at everything, I don't know about you guys, but I was getting flashbacks to Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes without the narration, where he's planning out his moves. He was more sizing up the room. It wasn't as so far as and then I'm going to stab him. It's more he has a knife. File that away for 10 seconds from now. So I really liked that. It worked really well. I love the way I viewed it at the very end when he's, in the sprinkler rain, and it's looking, zooming in on his eye. They really like zooming in on his eye, but I loved the end shot where it's like he's crying, but not crying, because the tears are from the rain, they're from the outside, not from the inside. I was like, oh, I don't know if that was intentional, but it feels very poetic. But no, I'm giving this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yes.
It's kicking off, I think, what's going to be a great franchise. And I still can't believe he did all this without a car. So there's no chase sequence. That's all we were missing.
Oh, just you wait until you see the next one, and you'll understand. So all that said, we've had a lot of fun here in the House of Fuqua looking at these films, and the Equalizer, it seems to have split us, but I find myself satisfied with these films. And Darren, why don't you take us out? What's coming up next?
Well, we had a great time visiting 3 decades of Antoine, and next we're going to be covering Zemeckis of the 90s with Back to the Future Part 3 here on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.